Hey, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for this new episode of the Combat to Commerce podcast. Today, we're bringing in a local leader, also a military brat as he grew up, the principal of the Hardin County School's Early College and Career Center, Mr. Dan Robbins. He's going to show you today how you can earn your associate's degree while in high school. This is a great opportunity, especially for military students in and around Fort Knox, that Dan is going to walk us through and tell you all about the great program that he offers and how
I'm very blessed to be able to call this home.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, great. Thank you, Dan. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know we've talked about you having a military family, military brat kind of background.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I'm the principal here in Hardin County Schools. This is my 24th year, actually. But as a military brat, moved around quite a bit. And it's kind of funny how, things, turn out to where you're supposed to be. I obviously believe in God's timing for a lot of things, but we always had our house in Fort Knox. And as we moved around to Germany and to Korea and California, my parents always kept the house in Radcliffe. And so when my dad was nearing retirement, he had the opportunity, they was promised, NCO leadership at Fort Bliss. And around that time was Desert Storm. And they were like, well, hey, instead of going to Fort Bliss, we're going to send you to Germany. And my dad was like, no, that's not what the promise was.
Yeah.
And so, how the military kind of does things and all its greatness, right? But there were some times where it wasn't too exciting for him. So kind of got frustrated with that process. And instead of moving to Fort Bliss, I was finishing my 8th grade year. My brother just graduated high school. Thought we were going to Fort Bliss, and that changed. So we moved back to our house in Radcliffe, Kentucky, where my dad then retired. And I'm like, it's so funny because we talk about that at home, and I was like, well, maybe I would have never met my wife, and it's great, our great kids we have. But we ended up back in Radcliffe, and it was great. Moving from California directly, times were much different in California. Exposure to things in life were, as an 8th grader, it was probably the best thing. But I was really mad at that time because I played football. I had a connection to the high school there, and was kind of upset. But moved back here. Eventually, met my wife, Emily. She's also a school teacher, so couldn't be happier. I know that's where I was supposed to be. We have 3 beautiful children, all girls. I'm a girl dad.
Same.
My oldest, just you're the same. So oldest daughter Haley's 22. She's graduated college. She's an accountant in Louisville. My middle daughter Hannah, who the girls also played with soccer with, graduated. She is pursuing her teacher education. She wants to be a teacher like mom and dad. So we're excited about that. And then Harper, that you mentioned earlier, she's a freshman there at Central Hardin High School, and who knows what she'll end up doing one day. But it's kind of funny that I, landed in the education field. It's, probably would have never have thought that. My teachers of past would definitely not have agreed that I was going to be in education. I was a little ornery in school, but maybe that's what helped me in my job a little bit. But loved my time as a military kid. Transitioning from place to place was difficult, but exciting at the same time. I learned to adapt quickly, learned to make friends quickly. And the key was, I think for my parents was, they definitely raised me right. I give a lot of credit to them, but always being able to pick the right groups of friends, to kind of to get in with, because there were those bad groups for sure. But moving back to this community, Radcliffe at that time in Fort Knox was very impactful on my family. I think that the things I learned as a military kid have helped me so much in life, to be resourceful, to be adaptable. And maybe that's why I'm in the position I'm in now. Who knows? But it's awesome. And my parents moved around after a little bit because my dad took some different jobs, but they actually live in Vine Grove now. So it's really cool that they're even back. But they moved back here as well because military community. I mean, it's where their friends are, and it is a big deal for them to be tied into that community.
No, for sure. And I hear what you're saying, that my wife Susan, she's from Los Angeles, right? And I'm from Pittsburgh, so not equivalent to Los Angeles or DC, but a bigger city. And I don't think either one of us ever imagined that we would settle anywhere other than a large city, just from how we grew up. But man, living here, just people, it has, and you might not think it, although but if you haven't been here, there's actually more diversity than what you might think. Whether that might be because of all the military community, people coming and going who found it, love it, and it's great. So while we're not, not as busy as somewhere like Los Angeles, luckily, although the traffic on the road here is getting crazier as they do more and more building, but it is a diverse, connected community built around, I think, not solely, but that military family, hardworking work ethic, commitment, loyalty, dedication, all those things to describe military. When you come around here and you go to Elizabethtown or Brandenburg or the local areas, you feel that and you feel welcome. So despite the fact that we probably thought we'd never live in anywhere other than a big city, this has become home and a perfect place. And it is absolutely amazing. So before we start talking about the degree program that they offer for high school students, which I think is very attractive for people moving to Fort Knox area, I do want to highlight you do a lot more than just the principle of this program, right? But it doesn't end there, and it goes back to, I think, the commitment to community. You spend, at least the only part that I know of, like so many hours dedicated to the youth soccer team, the high school, Central Hardin, whether it's freshman, JV, the younger kids that can start when they're 6th, 7th grade. You are the president of that program, of the boosters, and not boosters, but the family program and everything else. You're the president. You run all of the hotels, the programs, the food for the kids. You have a treasurer, you have all this other things. But you dedicate so much additional time outside of your day job that it is very inspirational to someone like me, who I've always tried to maintain a focus on, hey, this is my job and I'm working it and I'm going to put all my can into this. But then I go around someone like you who is doing an amazing job, excelling at their job, but then you're an amazing father, you're a committed husband, and the work you do for the community it's outstanding. And so you are someone who I'm inspired by. And one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast is to have an avenue where people can see there's people like you out there where they can reach out to gain inspiration for what their post-military life can be. For spouses who are out there who are moving around and maybe don't want to make that leap to try to get this job, or I don't really want to volunteer because what if we move? Things that, personally myself, I don't necessarily would want to go out there and volunteer for different things. But not because of people like you, I want to. And even last year, I wasn't selected, but I volunteered to be part of your team. But I got outvoted. But in the past, I would have never done that.
Sure.
Truthfully. And so I want to thank you for all you do for the community. And what is that like on your day-to-day life? You're burning the candle both ends, but you love it, I assume. Otherwise, you don't have to do it. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, number one, thanks, Joe. I do appreciate the compliment. I think as anything that we are, our kids are involved in, like if we're invested too, they feel it, they see it. And, we spend so much time outside of our own home and all these different activities. So if you're going to do that, like, let's do it right. And, it's just, I credit my parents for that, but if I'm going to do something, it's just the way to do it. And so I don't really think a whole lot about it. I don't really think like, hey, I've got to do this, or it's just, I think it's our kids deserve it. Our community deserves it. And, and so I don't mind it whatsoever. And I just think it's just part of my day. But we do have a great team around us. I mean, whether it's one of the people that were on the official board, or if it's all these parents like yourself and Susan. I mean, you think about all the time we just pour in, but we're just trying to make a better experience for our kids. And, if we can do that, then that's great. We know that not every parent has, maybe the time or maybe the resources to pour in. So that's okay. But, if you do and you're willing to put it in, I think, number one, there's no benefit that I reap out of it. It's like, whatever but my kids do. And I try to do whatever I can to kind of make their life better. We know we live in a crazy world out there with all kinds of stuff that's happening around them. So at least in our little bubbles that we have going around, let's try to make it positive and try to make it good. So, on top of it, I think that what we have in our high school team right now is something special. I think it's a lot of fun. I know there's a lot of girls that aspire to go on and play, at the next level in the collegiate standpoint, or maybe even beyond that. And man, just so hopeful to say, if that happens, that maybe some of us had a little piece in helping them to achieve their dreams. Honestly, that's the blessing that I would love to be a part of. So it's just those little types of things. And if they just had a great high school experience, well, that's cool too. So I don't know. It's just something I feel like it just comes natural to be able to do, to pour into the kids. And I find joy in it for sure.
That's awesome. It really is awesome. And I can tell you from my side, it has really helped me connect with the girls. After years of deployments and missing events, you take it for advantage, like that they're not they grow up fast.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I realized that until we had Amy, who all my deployments were and everything else are really the first 10 years of my life or my career. But with Amy, I've seen her from birth all the way through, and I'm seeing the things that I missed with the others, where I was gone, a 15-month deployment in Iraq, and I missed almost the first 2 years of Ava and almost all of Audrey's, first 15 months of being alive. And so it hit me hard. And I was like, holy crap, like, what am I missing? And it took a while, a number of years really, to feel that I was an active participant in their lives, because I didn't have that same connection early on that a lot of parents do. And coming here highlighted that. And so spending all those days on the soccer field and gymnastics with Amy, Ava, and Audrey, and everywhere they go across the country to play soccer and all around the state,
Sure.
It has been that opportunity for me to connect, and it is time that I will always cherish and value. And like you said, it's not something that we feel like we have to do. It's we don't even think about it. We just do it because it's something we enjoy.
Absolutely.
So I definitely hear what you're saying. So let me ask you this: one of your main highlights of the Hardin County Schools is this early college. Could you, if you could, I don't want to miss. The academy with Ava and Audrey, but can you explain it?
Yeah, we call it the academy, and people ask all the time, like, where did you come up with why the academy? And honestly, it wasn't like, oh, we just came up with this epiphany of this would need to be called. Here in the state of Kentucky, at Western Kentucky University, there's a program there called Gatton Academy. And Gatton Academy is, if you look it up across the nation, is ranked as the #1 high school in the nation. And that Gatton Academy is a residential opportunity for students that start during their junior year, and they complete their junior and senior year of high school at Western Kentucky University in the Gatton Academy, earning their first 2 years of education or their associate's degree.
Wow.
And so obviously we're like, man, that's just, an hour or so down the road from us. And so we visited and wanted to see what they were doing. And we wanted to say, how could we emulate something like that here in Hardin County, that we know that a lot of our kids were just not mature enough or ready to move out of the home as a 16 or 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we knew that our kids in this community deserved the opportunity for the most rigorous education that they could get while staying home. And so we developed the Academy program, and with a partnership with Elizabethtown Community Technical College, or ECTC as everybody calls it here, where our students have the opportunity during their junior and senior year of high school to earn their associate's degree through that college of ECTC, or the greater part of the Kentucky Career Technical College system. So it's a great opportunity. And now there is obviously, like a lot of things, college does cost money. So this is an education or opportunity. It does cost our families, but it is at the cheapest rate possible, and it's 50% of that rate. So our college system for KCTC is a great system. We have, I'll do it injustice if I try to number it. They have colleges at basically every area and community that you can move around the state of Kentucky. You'll find a local, their own ECTC in their community. So they're all over the state of Kentucky. And it, again, it's part of our public college system. Our students get a degree from there at 50% the rate. And they do that under a system that it's kind of like college with our hand on your shoulder. You know, we oversee everything they do, from scheduling and picking the correct courses during their first couple of semesters, to then kind of, you know, pushing them out just a little bit and letting them make a lot of choices in what their education looks like, especially during their senior year. They do a lot of check-ins. I would say that from the parent perspective, because I have been a parent on that side as well, is that we get to see them do college, but we get to kind of experience a lot of what they're doing, having conversations. Whereas we know when kids go off to school, parents have no clue whether they're even going to class, you know. So we get to kind of help facilitate their education during the first 2 years to get them off onto a good start, you know, because those credits are theirs forever, and hopefully to facilitate the end of their lifelong learning, in a sense. You know, we know that kids are going on to do a lot of things, but we kind of facilitate those last 2 years of high school, and then maybe step into that world of college where they, you know, pursue not only the associate's degree, but the bachelor's degree and master's degree and medical degrees. We have doctors that have come out of this program, and it's so exciting to see the opportunity that we know that we had a hand in them, at least starting while being here in high school.
That's awesome. And getting an opportunity to take some of these college classes while in high school, as opposed to, you know, your freshman year, like you said, you don't know if you're even going to class. And I would say guilty as charged that I probably wasn't the best student my freshman year of college. Some classes I may have had to retake. It worked out in the end, but if you can learn some of those hard lessons in high school and realize what is expected of you at the collegiate level, and also maybe even, like you mentioned, if there's medical classes, maybe it pushes you toward that career path, or you kind of fall in love with a certain, you know, educational opportunity that you pursue, as opposed to maybe still trying to figure yourself out in your sophomore, junior year, when you've spent, you know, potentially $50,000 or dollars more tuition every year. So what are the requirements? You don't have to, you know, exact numbers, but what are you looking at? Is this across all Hardin County, or is it certain schools, or what is it?
Yeah, so you to come to EC3, as we kind of, you know, do everything, give an acronym to everything, right? So to come to EC3, you do have to be a Hardin County Schools student. So you have to enroll at Central Hardin, John Hardin, or North Hardin High School. During your sophomore year, there is an application process, and part of that application, there's an essay, but we really take a look at college entrance scores. Here in this area, the ACT is what is the strongest thing. So students have to earn benchmark scores on the three of the 4 parts of the ACT, English, math, and reading. So, you know, you have to be ready for college, in a sense, based off of those ACT scores. And we only take 100 kids. That is wow. the stipulation. You know, we serve our graduating classes. If you add up Central Hardin, John Hardin, and North Hardin High School together, we're about 1,000 students every graduating class from our 3 schools in total. So we only take 10%. So we're taking 100 kids into that. But, you know, I would say this, Joe, like when I take a look at those kids in there, they're not necessarily the smartest kids across the board. they are probably the hardest working kids. And I think that really separates our group of kids. Now, we have a lot of great opportunities in Hardin County schools. And I think that, smart shoppers, as I like to call them, parents move into this community, military families are moving into this community. I can't even tell you how many tours I've given to families that are moving here as they're trying to make an educated decision about where they want to send their kid. If they don't visit EC3 and take a look at the opportunities that we have, then honestly, they're just doing their kids an injustice, because we've been everywhere, right? You've been all over the place, lived. I have as well as a kid. I haven't seen what Hardin County Schools is offering really anywhere else. So
Right.
I'm excited to be a part of that. I'm excited that we're able to offer that. But we know that we have people that are moving here and choosing to live in this area because of the opportunity that we have. And again, it's not just for the elite type student. It's for that hardworking kid, that military kid that understands, what it takes to grind and to put the work in to get what they want.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those who don't know, if you're just coming here, or you just moved to Fort Knox, or you are PCSing this summer, John Hardin, North Hardin, and Central Hardin are basically the closest to Fort Knox, and the majority of the students, or majority of families who work at Fort Knox live in those general areas. I mean, obviously, it could be further out, but those are the big ones for a lot of the military families close by. And then also, you're right, I have not seen anything like this. I mean, I've been Georgia, California, Kansas, Texas. I mean, a lot of different places. I haven't seen a program like this, which I think is amazing. And yes, I know Ava, she was studying so hard for countless. I mean, she'd been in the dining room till late at night studying, preparing for the ACT. She has a work ethic that I would say for academics that I didn't have growing up. But you're right. She is a hard worker, and that seems to be the demographic of the people who go to this program and find success. That's exciting. What are some of the main programs that are available for them? That I know there's like a medical track.
Absolutely.
What are some other tracks that are available to the students?
Yeah, so the academy is just one aspect of what we do here at EC3. And when we think about our name, early college, that kind of encompasses that. But then career centers are other part, and it's really our largest by population. We serve over 1,900 students in our school district every single school year. We are kind of a revolving door of opportunity, and students can start as early as their freshman year and go all the way through their senior year. But the programs that we offer, there's a lot. So I'll just kind of start listing them. So we have culinary arts. So students that are looking potentially maybe to go on to culinary school, or maybe they're just learning to be a better cook, nutritionally for themselves. That's one of our programs. We do automotive technology, and our focus is everything kind of under the hood. We don't do the auto body stuff, though that there is a need. Just resource wise, we stick to the under the hood type stuff there. Then we have a welding program that is phenomenal right now. We partner with a lot of different manufacturers in this area where our students are going to work for them immediately after high school. We have an aviation program specifically focusing on a lot of drone activity. Our students do get that drone pilot certification while in that program. And you and I know that is it's one of those things, just kind of like AI, that just continues to just skyrocket right now.
For sure.
So a lot of greatness in that program. We have an engineering program that kind of has its offshoots. We do electrical engineering, civil engineering and architecture, and then computer integrated manufacturing, all within that engineering platform. Really trying to focus in on that applied hands-on engineering. We all know, engineering, it's phenomenal, but not every student can handle calculus for 4 years. So we want where the jobs are, and that applied hands-on engineering is kind of where we focus in. And then we have a media arts program, kind of like what we're doing here right now.
Yeah.
Students that are looking to potentially start their own platform, maybe be influencers. Maybe they're wanting to work in the video studio productions, those types of things. Even I know people are like, hey, I want to be a famous YouTuber. Well, okay, that's great. You can, but we make sure we teach you how to use the platforms correctly.
That's awesome.
We have a computer programming or computer science program. Students are learning all aspects of designing their own programs, hardware, software. So both sides of the computer ins and outs of that. And then probably our largest program, just based off of need, is our health sciences program, our medical pathways. And we do a lot of different things in that program, from EKG tech, phlebotomy tech, nurse aides, pharmacy tech, medical administrative office. So students can work, again, if they're like, hey, hands-on, we have those, but we also have the office side of things as well. So there's a lot of things that go on to it. Then our building has grown drastically, and we've actually outgrown our space. So our partnership that I mentioned earlier with Elizabethtown Community Technical College, they're right next door to us. So we use some of their space right now to house a couple of other programs. One being our building and construction program, students learning electrical, HVAC, plumbing, carpentry. They're housed there at that building. And then our school, John Hardin High School, we send students over there, again, facility-wise, just for the space, to do a criminal justice or law enforcement program. So we're just growing. We have plans on the books right now to expand our actual building, to add roughly about another 40,000 square feet to our building. And so we're just waiting to kind of get all of those things into place and to get a contractor. But we are embarking, next school year will be our 10th year, and we're already in need of space. So it's amazing. It's great. It's a blessing to have. But I give a lot of credit to our former superintendent, Nanette Johnston, and our current superintendent, Miss Terry Morgan, for their inspiration and their vision for what EC3 is. And we're just excited to be a part of this community and to offer our families opportunity that we just didn't have as kids. I mean, we just didn't have those types of things. And so I think to some parents, it becomes a little overwhelming to make a lot of those decisions. But, just kind of like you mentioned earlier, it's not about making a decision that impacts the rest of your future, but it's about making a decision that helps maybe guide the direction you go into. And, there may be some kids that choose, it happened in our own house. My oldest daughter came through and did the health sciences program, thought, I'm going to be a nurse. COVID hit and she changed her mind. It was one of those types of things, just wasn't where she was supposed to be. She's an accountant now, total opposite, right? But what she learned in that program is still something that she takes with her. She is, she gives a lot of credit to it, but it also helped her to make a decision about something she didn't want to do. And that's just as valuable.
No, yes, I 100% can understand that. And, with all the programs you highlighted, obviously it's grown over the years, the number of offerings. And I mean, there's career fields out there that didn't exist when we were in high school, right? Like YouTubers, right? Or like, who'd have ever thought? But as it continues to grow, it's amazing that you just continue to build your program out, provide this to students, because this is, I would say, a lot of kids that probably are not necessarily thrilled. I'll say a lot of kids, but there's kids out there who necessarily aren't thrilled with like the traditional high school route. You do your classes, you go to school, you come home, whatever. You have an offering that can really attract, if you're a hardworking student, the career path you do want to go, or like you said, you discover you don't want to do it, but everything from, you said YouTubing or healthcare to, drones. There is something out there that will attract a hardworking student. And I think that's amazing. And I will tell you, having, I've been working at HRC for a number of years since I've got here, the Human Resources Command. Probably the number one question I get for leaders with family is, what are the schools like? What are the schools like? If they're coming here, or even if if I'm assigning them somewhere where I've been previously, that is the question. Like, what are the schools like? How are my kids going to handle living in the community? Are they going to have to go on post to go to school? Did they even offer an on post school? And so you're right. If you're coming to Fort Knox, this is a program that if your kid you'll have a kid in high school at the time while you're here, it would be almost an injustice not to check it out, at the very least, to take a look, see what's offered, and do it early so that your kids can kind of maybe prep and start thinking, if this is really what I want to do, like you said, some of the ACT scores and others that you need to do to prepare yourself to take this on academically. It's a great program.
Yeah, it's funny because we have a student that's coming into the academy. It will be a classmate of Ava's here that contacted me about 3 or 4 months ago that knew that they were PCS into this area, and friend of a friend, right? They heard, they got to talking to somebody, and so they reached out. We did a virtual kind of visit, a video that showed them around, and so they got super excited about it. That student has chose to come here, has already been accepted into our program. And so they are moving to this area. And I can 100% say that family did their homework. And now, fortunately, their child, he's going to get to come here and be a part of this program because the parents are doing what they're supposed to do in that regard. So we're so excited. I'm sure I told them, I said, that's fine. Hey, I know how it is. You have friends that are coming here as well. I said, share it out. And, we'll get them in, because the family was like, what about the deadline? I know the application deadline has passed. And I said, oh, that doesn't matter for people moving in. I said, you didn't know about us. And I said, so we'll work on things. We'll get them. So we always have some students that move into this area. A lot of military families that choose to come to us. So we're so excited to get them because obviously they bring a lot into our program as our kids are learning from each other. They bring a lot of value to our other families as well. So, but we know that it is happening. It's something out there that as parents are looking and doing their research, we hope that we help make a decision for a smoother transition to this area.
That's great. Yeah, especially as someone, what I'm hiring, I guess, because the Army, they have what's called the Army Talent Alignment Program now, is how we do assignments instead of just a career manager saying, this is where you're going. There's a whole job listing and there's interview process. And so even though we're running that show, we also have to hire for our own military. And those are, when I'm hiring, it's easy for me when they ask that question about the schools, because the last thing you want to do is recommend a place or a school. And it's not everything you say. You're just trying to get the person to come here.
Right.
But this is something we're living real time. And so I've always feel very confident when I recommend what's going on here with Hardin County School, with Central Hardin, with even the younger kids, right? GC Burkhead, East Hardin Elementary, all those others. So it makes an easy selling point for me when I'm trying to get talented people to come to HRC. So Dan, we've been going almost 45 minutes here. Time flies when we're doing this. Is there, before we close out, and just in case anyone's wondering, I'll put the link to the program at the bottom in the notes. But is there anything? I know you said you're expanding here shortly. Is there anything you want to leave us with, or any last pointers or tips, even if it's nothing to do with the program, even if it's just about military families and your experience as a military child, that you just want to, because you moved around and became extremely successful. And I think I would tell you, moving around ourselves when we were younger, I know I was confident my girls would do well, but you also want to provide them with the best opportunities to grow and succeed. And as a young dad at the time, I was still nervous about that. What if I move and I'm taken away from their friends, all that stuff? But whatever you want to leave us with, I would love to hear any insights you might have.
Yeah, I mean, I think back, as a kid, I think I went through probably every emotion that you can think of when it was time for us to move, right? But Dad got orders. We're going to Germany, and it's like, Germany, like what's in Germany? Probably just some of the greatest memories and things that I can think of now. It was just awesome. There's, my kids will never experience in that. And I kind of hate that for them. I'm not sure that my kids are designed to do that either, and I'm not, it wasn't anything special about us, but that's just how we were. We were ready to move and to do those types of things. But I think all of those moves, good, bad, whatever we want to say, they were such great growth opportunities for myself and my brother. And looking back on every single one of them, I know, like, at times, like, I was upset with my dad when I know he had no decision whatsoever in trying to make some of those types of things, or even, thinking back about, why is my dad not here when, it's senior night for football? It was, those types of things that they were, disheartening at times. But my dad is one of the greatest men that I've ever met in my entire life. And what he gave me in so many other ways, I know are things that I wish I could give my kids, and I strive to try to do that, and I can't match up with it. But service to our country and service to our family, I mean, are different, but also the same. So I would just tell any of those, if kids are out there, or the military families, the move is going to be good, and you're going to make it, and there's going to be all kinds of great stuff that comes from it. And just know that you have memories that your friends probably will never have because of these opportunities that you're getting to do with your parents. So I say just embrace them, and find the joy in it, because like I said, my parents will never get to experience Mannheim, Germany, like I did. So, or maybe even Southern California, like I did as well too.
Yeah.
So, but there's so much good in that. But the diversity, you talked about that earlier. I'll be honest, when my first job that I ever took was a teaching job at Central Hardin High School. I was a graduate of North Hardin High School, first teacher. Central Hardin High School at that time, 1999, was not as diverse as it is now. And I'll be honest, it was very difficult for me to walk in there as a minority myself. It wasn't the same, right? Whereas I graduated from North Hardin High School, where all my friends came from all kinds of different backgrounds, so it was different. But the military definitely gave me the opportunity to learn and appreciate different people with different cultures, and I think that's the good part, right? Not everyone gets to have that. So military kid has a leg up on others because of those types of experiences.
Yeah, that's great. And like you said, you're with relationship with your father. He definitely raised a great son, a great father, a great man. And so, I am, again, just to reiterate, I am very appreciative of you and what you do for the community, what you've done for my girls directly, for my family. And I just want to thank you for coming on here and sharing your story, sharing this program. And I look forward to, hopefully you don't get too many emails right away, but I look forward to following this program with Ava, hopefully Audrey too, if she applies, and just seeing it through and seeing their face and shaking your hand when they graduate the program. So I really appreciate you, Dan, and that's all I got. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Bye.